One thing that we learn from Ali ibn Abi Talib is that if Allah is with you, it doesn't matter who's against you. This is an important lesson that we learn from Ali ibn Abi Talib. You know, we always complain about we're outnumbered, we're a minority. If Allah is with you, if you're obedient to Allah, it doesn't matter who's against you. And this is an important lesson we learn from Ali. So no one could shake him. No one could bring him down to his knees. But this same Imam, if he were to see an orphan, he would break down. He had a very soft heart. Amr ibn Wudd al-Amiri could not shake him. But if Amir al-Mu'mineen, he sees a widow, if he sees an orphan, he couldn't control his tears. The Imam alayhi salam, he says, ما إن تأوهت لشيء رزيت به كما تأوهت للأيتام في الصغر. There's nothing that shakes me and brings more sorrow to me than seeing little orphans, because they have no protector, they're vulnerable. So the Imam alayhi salam, he was fierce, but he was also gentle. Such a gentle soul, brothers and sisters. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, he was so gentle that he would go out in the middle of the night to distribute food to poor families. Can you imagine? Why? Why would he bother himself with this? Because someone like Ali ibn Abi Talib cannot sleep if he knows that people are hungry. Have you ever seen a warrior like this? Unshakable in the battlefield, unflinching courage. But he's so concerned about people. You know the story about the widow. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he was the Khalifa at the time. And he saw a widow carrying, she was walking with her orphans in the street. She was carrying some heavy bags, a heavy load. The Imam alayhi salam, of course the Imam, you know, he doesn't have an entourage of bodyguards. There's no motorcade. He's not even, if you were to look at him and you didn't know Ali ibn Abi Talib, you would think that it's just an average person. You know, unfortunately, if you go to Iraq, 60 cars, bodyguards. It's not even the prime minister, some assistant who works in an office of the mayor. All these bodyguards and all this. For what? Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, the Khalifa of an empire that covers 50 countries on today's map. He sees a widow and he offers to help. When he offers her help, she says, may God bless you, may Allah reward you, and may God never forgive Ali ibn Abi Talib. If it was you and I, we would say, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm Ali ibn Abi Talib. What are you saying? He doesn't even tell her who he is. He stays silent. He says, why? Why do you say, why are you making dua that Allah never forgives Ali ibn Abi Talib? She says, my husband went to war with him and he was killed in battle. And now, look at these orphans. My life is a mess. The Imam alayhi salam, when he heard that, it broke his heart. The Imam, he walks with her. He says, let me get you some more food. He brings food. He says to her that, would you like me to cook for you and your family? I want to offer you some help. Would you like me to cook, or I can play with your children, with the orphans? She says, I'll cook. You just keep the orphans entertained. The Imam, he gets down on his knees and he starts playing with them. Have you ever seen any warrior like this? Any president, any prime minister? Maybe they'll do it if there are cameras. If there are cameras, they might do it. But there's no one there. The Imam doesn't even disclose his identity. Imagine Amir al-Mu'mineen playing with these children as if he is their slave. The woman's neighbor comes into the house. She had seen Ali ibn Abi Talib before. She sees Amir al-Mu'mineen. She says, what's happening? She says to the woman that, This is Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the commander of the faithful. He's babysitting your children. What's the matter with you? The woman didn't know what to say. The moment she realized that this is Ali ibn Abi Talib, she remembered cursing him. She said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, please forgive me. I didn't mean what I said. The Imam says, no, no, no. The Imam says, I want you to forgive me. Look at the humility of Ali ibn Abi Talib. This is the same man who kills Amr ibn Wadd al-Amiri, who was Asadullah al-Ghalib, humbling himself before a widow and her orphans. So he was courageous, but he had a very soft heart. The Imam alayhi salam was also, as I said, people who are very knowledgeable, they're not very social. Usually they're not very social. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, his knowledge, we can't even comprehend it. On his deathbed, Saluni, Saluni, qabla an tafquduni. Ask me before you lose me. سلوني عن طرق السماء أنا أعلم بها من طرق الأرض. Ask me about the paths of the heavens because I'm even more familiar with them than the paths of the earth. So approachable. You know, there was a man by the name of Dhirar. Dhirar was one of the companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And Dhirar was in Syria. He was in Damascus, in the court of Muawiyah. Muawiyah knew that Dhirar, this was after the death of Ali ibn Abi Talib. He knew that Dhirar was a friend of Ali. So Muawiyah, he says, Ya Dhirar, sifli Ali ibn Abi Talib. Oh Dhirar, describe Ali ibn Abi Talib. Dhirar says, أعفني عن ذلك. That, please excuse me from describing him. Dhirar didn't know, is this a trap? He didn't know what to do. Muawiyah threatens him. He says, no, I am the Khalifa. I've given you an order. I want you to describe Ali ibn Abi Talib. He describes the Imam, and one of the things that he says, it's a very beautiful description. He says, كَانَ فِينَا كَأَحَدِنَا. The Imam alayhi salam, despite his immense knowledge, Dhirar says, you know, there was a conversation between Amir al-Mu'mineen and Umar ibn al-Khattab. Umar ibn al-Khattab, one day he says to Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ya Ali, I've noticed that whenever someone asks you a question, any question, you immediately respond. You know the answer right away. How is that? It doesn't even seem like you need to think. They can ask you the most detailed jurisprudential, theological question, a question relating to an ayah in the Quran, immediately you have the answer. How is that possible? Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, he raises his hands. He asks Umar, how many fingers do you see? Umar said 5. The Imam alayhi salam says, why did you answer right away? Umar says, because I can clearly see that you have 5 fingers. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, this is how all knowledge is to me. علمني رسول الله ألف باب من العلم يفتح لي من كل باب ألف باب. My beloved Rasulullah taught me 1,000 doors of knowledge. Each door opens up 1,000 more doors. Amir al-Mu'mineen is an ocean. You would think someone like that, you can't even approach them. Have you been to some schools? Some professors, because he has a PhD, if you don't call him doctor, they'll flip out. They're not approachable. Dhirar says, كَانَ فِينَا كَأَحَدِنَا. That when he was with us, he was one of us. He didn't distinguish himself. He would sit with us. He would talk with us. يُجِيبُنَا إِذَا سَأَلْنَا. When we would ask him questions, he never made us feel stupid. We would ask and he would answer so gracefully. وَيُنْبِئُنَا إِذَا اسْتَنْبَأْنَا. When we would ask him about anything, he would respond to us. And then he says, وَنَحْنُ وَاللَّهِ مَعَ قُرْبِهِ مِنَّا لَا نَكَادُ نُكَلِّمُهُ هَيْبَةً لَهُ. Dharar says, even though we felt so close to him, sometimes it would be difficult for us to speak to him because of how much we revered him. You know, when you're sitting in the presence of a great personality, no matter how much they try to humble themselves, it's still difficult to carry a conversation with them. So on the one hand, Amir al-Mu'mineen, he's able to combine these two antithetical qualities, supreme knowledge with this down-to-earth attitude, this sociability. And the Imam alayhi salam, he had great political power. He had Baytul Mal under his control. You know, people, when they get access to money, all of a sudden what happens? You see they start wearing the nicest clothes. They start buying the best cars. They live in mansions. People who have access to money, they show it. Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, you think Amir al-Mu'mineen was poor? Amir al-Mu'mineen was not poor. He was high in production, but he was very low in consumption. He used to give. After the assassination of Uthman, the entire ummah surrounded his house. This is probably the first time in history where the people are begging someone to be the Khalifa. Usually, you know, today people, they have to campaign, they have to try to convince you, please vote for me. Amir al-Mu'mineen, they were begging him. They begged him. And they all came from all around the Islamic empire to pay allegiance to him. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen was inside of his house. What was he doing? He was fixing his sandals. They had torn. The Imam was sewing. He was stitching his sandals. People are lined up to give bay'ah, to pledge allegiance to him. He's gonna become the Khalifa. All of these people have been fighting for power. It's now presented to Amir al-Mu'mineen on a silver platter. They're all lined up to put their hands in his hands and declare and pay him allegiance. Ibn Abbas, he comes inside. Everyone is looking. Where's Ali ibn Abi Talib? He sees that Ali ibn Abi Talib is stitching his sandals. Ibn Abbas says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, everyone is waiting. Delegations from all around Arabia are here to pay you allegiance as Khalifatul Muslimin. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he looked up. He says, Ya Ibn Abbas, ما قيمة هذه النعل? What do you think this sandal is worth? Ibn Abbas, what are you talking about? Everyone is here to give you allegiance. You're asking me how much a sandal costs? The Imam says, yeah, how much is it? If I wanted to sell it, how much is it worth? Ibn Abbas says it's worthless. Maybe a dirham, maybe 2 dirhams max. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, he says, Wallah, lahiya ahabbu ilayya min imratikum. This sandal is more beloved to me than the Khilafah. إلا أن أقيم حقا أو أدفع باطلا. This sandal is more beloved to me, it has more value to me than this Khilafah, unless I use this position to uphold justice and eradicate injustice. That's the only way that power has value. This was Amir al-Mu'mineen's attitude.